Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Switch gears, and it's kind of interesting because we are at, we're in early to mid-November here. I guess we're in mid-November at this point. And obviously, so much of the focus of what we do on the Aaron Torres Pod, the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel, is college football. At the same time, college basketball has started. If you like Torres talking college hoops, or even if you hate Torres talking college hoops, but you're at least entertained by it, I promise you, we're going to start talking more college hoops now that the season is really underway. At the same time, though, on top of college hoops, we also actually are right in the midst, or really in the tail end of, the early national signing period for high school basketball recruits. In other words, we have a window in the fall where high school recruits can go ahead and sign letters of intent, lock themselves in for the next recruiting class. Bluntly, we really haven't talked about it. There haven't been a ton of super high profile commitments over the last couple of weeks. Most of the best players who are signing have long been committed. There was a player named Travis Perry. We'll talk about him, wink, wink, at the end of this video, because he committed to Kentucky a few days ago. But while there weren't a lot of high-profile players, there was one that did commit just earlier. And I do want to talk about him because he's a fascinating player with a fascinating story and, by the way, oozing, dripping with talent. That is a 6'9" center named Jayden Quaintance, a player who is playing his high school ball in North Carolina, just 16 years old, but a top 10 recruit in the class of 2024. A couple weeks ago, narrowed his list, or a couple days ago, I should say, narrowed his list down to Kentucky and Missouri. Earlier, he committed to, drumroll please, he committed to the University of Kentucky. John Calipari, you little devil, you did it again. Because it's really interesting, right? With Cal, about probably 5-6 weeks ago, we didn't know what he was doing in 2024. We were wondering, is his 2024-2025 roster going to be largely portal-driven, since so many freshmen on this roster currently are projected to be one-and-done NBA players? Well, in the last about 5 weeks, we talked about Boogie Flan when he committed, Travis Perry, who I mentioned a minute ago. We'll talk about him at the end of this video. And now he adds Jayden Quaintance, taking a recruiting class that we didn't even know how many players he was taking in 2024. To now, guess what? He's going to once again compete for the top recruiting class in college hoops. Why did we ever doubt Coach Cal? Unbelievable effort, unbelievable job. Let's break down Jayden Quaintance. For people who have never seen him play, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably have. Quaintance, fascinating player. He's 16 years old. He reclassified, originally part of the class of 2025. He moves up to 2024. What's interesting is because of his age, he is 2 years removed, 3 years now, from the NBA draft early entry process. So as we've talked about many times, you have to be 19 years old and 1 year removed from high school to be draft eligible in any given year. Why do I bring it up? He's 16 this year. He'll be 17 next year. He won't turn 18 in 2025, meaning that basically he is 3 years removed from the NBA draft process, which means he is going to, in theory, have to play college basketball for at least 2 years. We'll talk about if that's actually going to happen in a minute, but you think about the fact that you just got a 5-star top 10 prospect in the class of 2024. You could potentially have him for 2 years. That is great news for Cal. Most specifically, this player is special, okay? 6'9", 6'10", strong as you know what, but also carries the weight really well. You look at him, he's super long. He's not quite lanky because he's physically strong, but you can also see like that dude could easily put on 25 pounds of muscle and it would not impact him at all. And really just a super dynamic, super skilled player. A guy that, on the one hand, finishes everything around the rim, stuffs it home, great rim protector, big, physical down low. But he's also a guy that is kind of one of these new age guys. He can handle the ball. He can step out. He can hit the mid-range jumper. He can even hit the three if he's asked to, although I don't know how much Cal is going to ask of him. So he can really do it all. He is a bedrock piece for the class of 2024, 2025 season. For Kentucky, you're going to lose Aaron Bradshaw after this year. He is going to be a one and done. We'll see if he plays. My guess is Zvonimir Ivisic, the Croatian player. He's a couple years older. He's already tested the NBA draft waters. My guess is he wants to use Kentucky as a one and done stop. And so you now have your starting five for 2024, 2025, a big load down low, but a guy that is just dripping with talent. I've seen others compare him to DeMarcus Cousins, about the same age. You can kind of see it if you watch. Again, big, physical, strong, punishing, rips the rim off the backboard. But he's also a guy that's skilled, that can handle the ball, that's more than just a big guy down low. If you're thinking this guy's Oscar Tshiebwe, that's not him at all. Super skilled, super talented, but also that physical presence. What is interesting to me, first of all, let's go ahead and give Coach Cal credit for this reason. I know Coach Cal has won a million recruiting battles in his day, and I'm not going to do the whole like, oh, Coach Cal did it again. But at the same time, what's interesting about this kid, not only did he have to battle Missouri and a bunch of other colleges, Ohio State was in there, a bunch of others. I can tell you for certain, the pro leagues, the pro options wanted this kid. Now, what I will say, and I think this is an interesting dynamic, as I said, this kid is 3 years removed from the NBA draft. Won't be eligible in 2024, won't be eligible in 2025. So he is going to have to play 2 years of college basketball. What I do think is at least a possibility is he does 1 year of college basketball, plays at Kentucky next year, balls out, and then I could see him pursuing a professional option elsewhere, whether it is the G League Ignite program, whether it's overseas. I could see him doing 1 year in college, then a pro option, then going to the NBA. So if you get him for 2 years, that's great. But even if you get him for one, I mean, this is the type of kid that has a chance to be a difference maker in college basketball in the 2024-2025 season. Finally, what I would say, keep an eye on that 1 versus 2 years thing. Also, Cal just did it again, man. Cal just did it again because it was interesting during the summer. Just felt like everything was moving slow, right? You even look like you know, I think I follow recruiting about as closely as anybody on the national scale. Last year, it's easy to forget. This entire 2024 recruiting class, their 2023 recruiting class, outside of Ivisic, who you obviously added in August or late July or whatever it was, they were all committed and signed in the early signing period. Remember, Reed Sheppard committed a million years ago. Rob Dillingham committed in the summer going into his senior year. Same with Justin Edwards. Aaron Bradshaw committed in October and DJ Wagner before the early signing period. And so you kind of knew, I mean, I even remember doing videos back in the summer of 2022 saying, hey, these guys aren't committed yet, but Justin Edwards is trending this way. Rob Dillingham is committed. Aaron Bradshaw is trending a certain way. DJ Wagner is trending a certain way. So we went back and forth with Wagner and Bradshaw as far as first it was Kentucky, then it was Louisville. But even by the end of the summer, you kind of knew if things go well, those two are going to commit to Kentucky. This year, it wasn't like that. This year, you didn't really know exactly what Cal's board was really until the end of the summer. You got Santos Cyril committed early. So that's, you know, he's hay in the barn, if you will, as the old saying goes. But Boogie Flan, credit to Cal. We talked about Boogie Flan when he committed. That was a kid that throughout various periods of that recruitment, it did not look like it was going to be Kentucky. It looked like it was going to be Indiana. I mean, I guess there was a moment where maybe it was Bama. But the bottom line remains, it wasn't until the final probably 36 hours that you felt like, okay, maybe this kid is going to end up at Kentucky. We've talked about him, super dynamic guard. We don't need to repeat the rundown of him. If you missed it, you can go ahead and search for that episode, that YouTube clip, because we did talk about him about 5-6 weeks ago when he committed. Who we did not talk about was Travis Perry, who I think is absolutely fascinating. Again, I'm sure if you've made it this far in this video, you're probably a Kentucky fan. You probably know. But Travis Perry is actually the leading scorer in the history of Kentucky high school basketball and was so before he ever played a game in his senior year, broke the record last year. So incredible score, about 6'1", 6'2" guard. And I think that's a very interesting commitment in its own right. He was down to Cincinnati, Bama, Western Kentucky, and Kentucky. And bluntly, I don't think most people thought that he was going to commit to Kentucky. But I love the commitment because, one, listen, this has been a criticism of John Calipari for years. There's a lot of talent in the state of Kentucky. It's not one and done talent. And you have guys that you can build this program around if they're good enough. Had Derek Willis, had Dominique Hawkins a few years ago. Well, this year you bring in Reed Sheppard. He's already playing well. Now you add another Kentucky kid who I think is going to be a difference maker's relative early. I think it's going to take some time, but that is the kind of kid that I think can develop in the program. And the fact that Cal pursued him, the fact that Cal was interested in him, I think is a huge, major big deal, because you got a Kentucky kid, skilled player, right? This has been the criticism of Cal. Takes talent and athleticism and NBA upside over guys that can produce right now. Well, this kid can get buckets at all three levels, and I think he is going to be an excellent college basketball player. Didn't get a chance to talk about him when he committed the other day, but I just think he's a guy, you know, you need building blocks in this program over a 2, 3, 4 year period, and this kid is it. So I think Travis Perry's going to be good. I think when you get him with Reed Sheppard and some of the guys that they're going to play with, Boogie Fland, obviously, they're going to be really good. But you just got your star in Jayden Quaintance. Again, we'll see if he's there 1 year versus 2 years, not quite draft eligible. But that is a dude that is going to rip down a lot of rims and have impact right away. And as I said, because he can't enter the NBA draft, there's a chance that you have him 2 years. So I'll be curious to see what Cal does from here. I think you can probably presume that most of the freshman class that is currently on this current roster is going to be gone next year, but he's trending towards the number 1, number 2 recruiting class in the country. Might not be done. You know, Kevin Knox's younger brother, Carter Knox, it sounds like, you know, Kentucky's one of the final 2, 3, 4 teams and programs, and he's looking at pro leagues as well. That's a legitimate possibility for him. And other guys are going to emerge. You could have a potential reclassification candidate. Kentucky is in very good shape for some 2025 guys, including another Kentucky player named Jasper Johnson, who is now playing at prep school. So we'll see how that closes. And then Cal, I assume, will be very aggressive in the portal as well. But credit John Calipari. 5, 6 weeks ago, we did not know what this 2024 class was going to look like. And now it is trending towards the number 1, number 2 class in the country, thanks to the latest commitment of Jayden Quaintance.